Persephone the Grail Queen. Welcome back to another episode of Wild Feminine Magic. Make sure to subscribe to the channel. Let's get into the video. In the story of Persephone, before she becomes a queen of the underworld, she meets her crone aspect, who initiates her, Queen Hekate, queen of death and rebirth cycles. In the Greek telling, young Persephone was called 𝐥𝐤𝐤, a maiden of spring, innocent and obedient to her mother Demeter, until she was abducted by Hades and taken onto the underworld. But in the pre-Greek version of this story, 𝐥𝐤𝐤 goes willingly into the cave, into the labyrinth, into the mysteries. By accepting the wisdom from the guides of the underworld, Hades, and Hekate, she learns to shed what is false and learns what is true. She sheds her dependent maiden self and wounded princess to grow into an empowered and sovereign queen. 𝐥𝐤𝐤 walks down soft green hills, smells the salty ocean nearby and sees the granite black rocks and coves. A shadowy figure enters the mouth of the cave and 𝐥𝐤𝐤 follows her, down through a winding passage through the caves. She is wearing a black hooded robe and walking with a wooden staff. The cave is full of small pools and waterfalls and a stairwell that takes 𝐥𝐤𝐤 deeper inside. Hekate of the underworld dwells in caves beneath the earth and is keeper of the sacred well which is fed by underground rivers and waterfalls. She is also known as the oldest of the old, the heavenly midwife, queen of the void and cauldron of transformation. She knows the shadows and depths of human emotion from rage, frustration, powerlessness and suicide to compassion, mercy, humility and forgiveness. As a psychic healer she is a dissolver of emotional wounds and teacher of emotional wisdom. 𝐥𝐤𝐤 walks through the water and sees 𝐦𝐤𝐤𝐿 sitting by a reflective pool. The pool is dark black but she can still see images on the surface. She sees distorted faces of family members, friends and boyfriends. 𝐥𝐤𝐤 sees herself when she was a baby, young child, teenager and young adult in her 20s. When she was hurt and crying, judged, blamed, shamed and there's a deep red color that emerges in the sacred mirror pool. The red wound that she's been carrying since her childhood is raw and alive and full of tenderness. 𝐦𝐤𝐤 gives 𝐥𝐤𝐤 a black robe and a black rose to begin the process of shadow work. Hekate asks her to sit beside the pool and tend to the layers and layers of memories. 𝐥𝐤𝐤 begins to cry knowing that is not who she really is. Drop your identity, your roles and religious conventions, your expectations, even your name, everything that has been given to you by others, you will shed your outer self. Your inner self will have space to exist. In the shedding of the outer layer, an inner layer of wisdom will emerge. 𝐥𝐤𝐤 does as Hekate wishes. She takes each memory of betrayal, humiliation, victimhood and helplessness one by one and puts them in the sacred pool. The pool dissolves the memory and attachment to that emotion. Each time 𝐥𝐤𝐤 sheds a memory, she sheds her attachment to that identity and a black rose petal falls away. 𝐥𝐤𝐤 feels how she's been dependent on outside approval and validation from men to feel desired and beautiful instead of feeling beauty from within. How she was made to feel small by a parent, group of friends or significant other. How she didn't feel worthy of following her dreams. 𝐥𝐤𝐤 doesn't feel her gifts will be accepted or that she can be in her body or have a voice. She sees how she has been giving her power away because she didn't feel worthy. One by one the memories shed. One by one the black rose sheds its petals until no petals are left. Hekate stands up and walks through a doorway covered by a shimmering veil of water. 𝐥𝐤𝐤 follows her and now her black robe full of old shadows and pain is dissolved. 𝐥𝐤𝐤 comes to understand that Hekate is a water crone and a dissolver. This is her method of ending old patterns of emotional behavior as she represents the death of outworn ways of relating. After 𝐥𝐤𝐤 has processed her emotions, she finds Hekate sitting by the still waters of peace and tranquility. She unties the patriarchal knot showing 𝐥𝐤𝐤 how to seek and find new ways to live from a place of clarity, alignment and integrity to her true self. She invites 𝐥𝐤𝐤 to return when she needs help dissolving old pain, emotions and patterns she no longer wishes to carry. And she walks through another doorway where a woman is surrounded by white light. In the spiritual alchemy phase of 𝐦𝐤𝐤𝐤, dissolving destroys the old nature and transmutes it into a new state of being. In Persephone's story and on the mythological level, 𝐦𝐤𝐤𝐞 signifies the emotional attachments she has to overcome on her journey through the underworld. 𝐦𝐤𝐤𝐞 is the chaos in which she confronts her shadows, monsters, demons. In the ancient mysteries, the candidates had to undergo difficult, sometimes painful and even dangerous initiation tests. Being deep in 𝐦𝐤𝐤𝐞, a white light appears. Persephone arrives at the second stage of alchemy, albedo, or whiteness. The alchemist must discover within herself the source from which his life comes forth. Albedo is symbolized by Aurora the dawn, the morning star, Venus Aphrodite, and by the sun rising up from the philosopher's sea. Aphrodite/Venus as the morning star is a central image in alchemy. Aphrodite was born from the foam that arose when the genitals of Uranus fell into the sea. The sea, symbol of the soul, however, will bring forth the love goddess. As Aphrodite is born from the sea, she is the guide through the fearful world of the unconscious, the sea, or the underworld into the light of love, joy, ecstasy and fulfillment. The alchemist descends into these depths to find the prima materia. Aphrodite inspires 𝐸 to fulfill her dreams. She also gives her a cup full of water, a fountain of life, a holy grail. Drink from the cup, she says. 𝐸 undergoes another level of purification and feels her true self emerging with new dreams, new creativity and a new purpose. Other alchemical images for albedo are purification and the white dove. Purification of the soul happens by water because it is the creative force of the divine. It allows the soul to be received into the community of the Holy Spirit. The purified soul brings forth the resurrection of Christ in oneself. The soul and Christ, the divine essence. Aphrodite wears a golden girdle made of shells and pearls, her life-giving amulet as she is a life-giving goddess. Her gold, cowrie shell necklace and pearls have a magical reputation, just as in Egypt, where Hathor was called the House of Gold and personified as a goddess who gave rebirth to the dead. When she gives 𝐸 the magical cup of life full of gold, pearls and shells, Aphrodite is giving her the elixirs of life and the powers of renewal. To the alchemist, the cup was one of the most desirable objects to search for. Now 𝐸 is wearing a red dress and a gold crown. She has become Queen Persephone and entered 𝐸𝐤𝐻. 𝐸𝐸𝐻 corresponds with the resurrection of Christ's light and the mature, spiritual nature within us all. Persephone has left behind the old body and brought her inner divine self into her conscious reality. In her journey, the maiden once known as 𝐸 meets her crone self Hekate, her Shakti and Kundalini life force, where she passes test and dissolves her egoic attachments. From this phase, she passes through albedo and 𝐸𝐸𝐻 to be reborn as the golden Aphrodite. Persephone in her reborn divine nature is Aphrodite. Now, she too becomes the catalyst or initiator of spiritual life. She is the alchemical guide where the ultimate goal is liberation. This is her gift, her elixir. To help seekers become conscious of the lower nature and learn how to transmute it. Ultimately, she becomes Queen Persephone, master alchemist and guide into the underworld. She helps us descend into the unconscious, into the darkness, into the underworld, to find the light of our spirit, and return to the world with the light and elixir of the true self. She teaches us how to find the light of conscious awareness and shine it on everything that lies hidden in ourselves. How to destroy our old nature and transmute it into a new state of being. Everything that has lived, dies. Everything that is dead putrefies and finds a new life. This is why Persephone is the ruler of cycles. She is both the death-bringing and life-giving feminine. This is why she is the queen of shadow and light, the Grail Queen. That brings us to the end of today's video all about Persephone the Grail Queen. If you enjoyed this episode, remember to leave a thumbs up and to subscribe to Wild Feminine Magic for even more fascinating content, just like this. As always, thanks for watching. See you again soon in the next one.